So also, Jonathan, the smart TV in the room does not like my Mac. Yeah, I know. I just thought it was funny. It works, and then after a while, it's like, wait a minute, something's wrong. Let me fix that. There we go. Sorry for the delay, guys. We will start here momentarily. I should have checked whether I could record last night. Oh. Only seen you the one time. I almost didn't recognize you. We are waiting for recording. I cannot record. Jonathan has to turn on his laptop and record. Because it takes an enterprise Google Meet account, apparently.
Google's going to use a slightly different route, but if you drive right past them. I got to have the loss.
Exciting.
How's it coming, Jonathan? I have a record button. It just doesn't do anything.
Just tell me that you're not allowed.
No, it just doesn't do anything at all. There's zero feedback. That's what I'm saying. So you're presenting to everyone. There's a record button. When I click on it, nothing at all happens. As I just noticed, I was like, oh hey, maybe he got it to work, so I could use it. Yeah, he thought he could too, and then he said that he could not. Oh, okay.
Trying to remember. Gracie's name.
Oh, Mitchell?
No, not her last name. Her name last name.
Oh, yeah, I have no idea. So I will be teaching React to you today as a non-React.
I've read some React code before.
I have developed React before, but very, very briefly, for like a month, 2 years ago. React Native, I can tell you a little bit more, but they're pretty similar, I think. I'm worried that no one can hear me anymore. Jonathan?
You see those dots?
Huh?
The
No, I know. I'm just saying I'm worried that Jonathan has like walked away or something.
You see it.
Yes, I know he is. But he was responding to me and now he is not. Like he was chatting with me and now he is not.
Eunice where it's like, okay, I'm recording.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically what I meant. Was I was worried. Oh, good. Awesome. Okay, I did just miss it. All right, awesome. So he did walk away. That's why he's not responding to me. We're gonna get started. Today we're going to be learning at least the beginnings of React. And what is React? It says it right here in one beautiful short sentence. React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. So what that means is this is a way to write your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript all together as a bundle. So the things that Jonathan was teaching you last week to put things into the web page and actually make them show up and be all pretty on the page, and it was a lot of effort, are now very simple with React. It allows you just kind of to say what you want to do, and it works a lot more simply than what you did last week. I'm not going to give a whole lot of explanation on this. If you want to read through, if you want to go to reactjs.org and read through, you can, but do it later. Because right now we're going to jump immediately into the code. If you are in the groceries project that you all made last week that will have nothing to do with groceries at all, we have a bunch of files in here. First, what you'll probably see is two folders that say public and source, and I guess a third folder that's kind of grayed out that says node modules. We're going to ignore node modules for now, and we're going to open the public folder. In the public folder, you'll see a file called index.html, and this will be the entry point for your React application. In here is just regular old HTML code. But the most important part is a line 31 right here. This div that says ID root. Everything in your whole React application will live right here in this div. But this is just for the React library to hook into. So we are not going to do anything with this page. In fact, we're going to close the public folder and we're going to open the src folder. And you're going to see index.js and you're going to open that. In index.js, you'll see a bunch of code that looks a little strange here. You'll see some code right here that kind of looks like HTML. And then there's JavaScript right here. So what's going on? This is not actually HTML. It's something called JSX, which is some code that kind of looks like HTML to make it a little easier for you to structure things. But this gets transpiled down to just regular old JavaScript when we run our app. But what's happening here is you see this document.getElementById root. This is taking that root on the HTML page that I just showed you, and it is injecting the React application into it. So this is the entry point for your JavaScript. But again, this is just for React to deal with. Once this is set up, there's a few times you might interact with it again, but for the most part, you're not going to look at this page. The main thing we're going to be looking at is this right here in app.js. So app.js is a bunch of these import statements at the top, which we'll talk about later. And there is a single function that has been exported. And you see this export default app right here. If we return back to index.js, you'll see right here we have an open bracket or angle bracket, close angle bracket with app in the middle. That refers to this same app here in app.js, this same function name that we're exporting. So this code right here will be able to render a web page. To do that, you'll need to come down into your terminal or your console, depending on whether you're Windows or Mac. You need to open this terminal, and you'll need to run npm start, npm space start, and then hit return or enter. And it may take a few minutes the first time you try to run it, but it should automatically open a web page for you. Sharika, how are you doing? Are you able to run npm start? Awesome. Did it open a web page for you? Awesome. And you see the little React symbol spinning in a circle? Awesome. You're a Windows guy. Oh, you're a Linux guy. Dang you.
I'm close to this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't know anything about PowerShell.
I don't use okay.
Oh, okay. This happened to me as well. It took me over 5 minutes for it to load the first time.
Oh, this isn't.
Yeah. Windows 11. That's the middle start bar. It has they tried to copy map a little bit, copy Linux a little bit.
Everybody tends to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm good. It should pop up in Firefox.
Whatever your default browser
Now
is.
do in browser.
So go to your browser.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh.
Nice. Awesome.
I just
Okay.
Which one is fine?
I just create React app. We did that last week. So it's not in a repository anywhere. Okay. So what this is a single function that returns what looks like HTML, which is actually JSX. But functionally, pretty much the same as HTML. So as long as you return JSX here, it will render something to the browser. And I will have you note that this does it instantly as soon as you save the project, unlike what we were doing before. So if I say learn React, and we come over here, and here's mine running, see how it says learn React, learning intensifies, which yours probably does not say learning intensifies. So if I do that, and then I hit save, and I come back here, it immediately updated the screen. I know, because I didn't know how to spell it, but I don't care. But the point of this is that it immediately updates the screen with whatever you write. As soon as you hit save. So what I want you guys to do, since you've already learned some HTML, I want you to erase everything in here. Keep the header, keep the div at the top, but erase everything else inside like this, and make your own HTML in there, whatever you want, and then save it and see what it looks like. And make sure that this is working for you. Hmm?
Not like what I'm gonna do.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Just like ideas.
I started taking images as images.navient.com. And I was
Mm.
like, yes, that's cool.
There you go. Code will try to help you a bit. It may not always be right. It's not as bad as Visual Studio though. Since they added the AI to Visual Studio, it would just mix up new classes, tries to inherit from them, and I'm like, what? No, this doesn't even exist in the project.
One thing it does decently well is to just where.
A lot of times it does. It does a lot of things decently well a lot of the time, and then it was just like it wrote invalid C# code for me the other day, and I was like, this is invalid code. Why would you write this?
You are listening.
Like it tried to use in a ternary statement, it tried to use the null coalesce operator like as the regular question mark. I'm like, this won't work. Like this, you're telling me, oh man, you made a mistake. You shouldn't listen to me. All right, so do we have something else? Is it showing up immediately when you hit save?
Do I need to see?
Yeah, you have to save every time you don't need to you shouldn't need to reload the
The big.
browser.
Okay. It's
Okay.
It shows it, but it's not.
Yeah, it's your enter tag.
Or yes, it didn't.
You don't have an href. You don't have anywhere for it to go, so it's warning you. React will also give you errors that are a lot more useful than the normal errors you get in the browser, which I only actually discovered this week as I was trying to do things. If you do something really wrong, it'll even show up here on this page and tell you, hey, this is wrong. If I just do like, so as you can see, I did something really, really wrong. I just wrote a bunch of opening tags, but you'll see that the error that I get is extremely useful. It tells me exactly where it is and says, hey, this is wrong, don't do this. It even shows me my code, which is amazing. That's a beautiful error. So I can just come back and erase it and say, thank you, React, save. My project immediately starts working again. So this is all well and good. But something else that you can do is unlike the HTML that you had, if you write a pair of curly brackets here, anywhere inside of this, anything that you enter in here will be run as JavaScript. So I see how I have a variable up there that I just called Bob and I assigned it 45. If I write Bob here and hit save, 45 appears. Because it just takes whatever that variable is, it executes it, and it prints it to the screen. Because I wrote it inside of my JSX. So you can put a variable up here or any JavaScript and have it execute directly. Now, it may not always be valid. If it's not returning something that can be printed in the HTML, it's not going to work. But you can also do this to have some extra JSX. So I just set a variable up here equal to some JSX. If I come down here and replace Bob with HTML and hit save, you'll see that it just inserts it. So you can do a lot of different things with this. You can conditional, with the things that we've already learned with like an if-else statement, you can conditionally show things on the page. So for instance, I can say if Bob is less than 50, let's do var HTML, and I can do HTML equals Bob is so young, and then else HTML equals, oops, not dive. Thank you, code, for auto-completing dive for me. So I can do this and save it. And when that runs, it will say that Bob is so old.
No, I'm just so confused if and else when the time.
Although I'm not sure why.
More than 50 of this time. It makes sense.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying I'm not sure why Bob is so old is showing up.
If it's under 50, but if Bob over.
Oh, you're right. I just have it backwards. Yes, I wrote my logic backwards. That's why I don't know math. Yep. So that will go. That will show up here, and it conditionally rendered some JSX. We can do many other things that we'll learn about in a minute. What you can also do is you can make another file. You can write some code in that, and then you can insert that file into this file, and it will render it as well. So we're going to do that. Everyone click on this source folder, and then right click and do a new file. And this file must start with a capital letter, or at least by convention, you should start it with a capital letter. And I'm going to call mine component.js, whatever you call it, start with a capital letter, and make sure it says .js at the end. And let me know when you are ready to continue here in the room. Okay. So here, what we're going to do is we're just going to make a function. And you're going to start with a const, and you're going to call it the same thing you named your folder. And before we forget, we're just gonna open it. It's just gonna be blank like this. And the first thing you're gonna do after you do that is at the bottom, you're gonna export default component. We're gonna do that first every time, so we don't forget to export, because it won't work. It won't do anything if you don't export it. In here, like I said, at any point, as long as this returns some JSX, you'll be able to use it to render something to the screen. So you always write the return statement. You open it, you'll notice it's angry at me right now because it's not returning anything, and you need to. But you open just a regular parenthesis and make an extra line. This just makes it easier to read. Technically, you could write it all on one line if you wanted, but it'd be really difficult to read. So you put a div in here, immediately it will be not angry, and you could render this, but there's nothing in it. So write something in here.
That's like the basic.
Yep, that is the basic that you need to make a new component to display something. And the reason that you do this is when you're writing an application, you don't want to make one gigantic file. It would be impossible to debug later and remember what you're doing. So you make very small components, or what these called in React. You make very small components that have a certain type of functionality, and then you'll use those to build your app elsewhere. So what we're going to do is write anything in here so that you can see that it's showing up. Anything you want. I'm going to just do hello world again. I'm going to hit save, make sure the file saves. Then, importantly, I'm going to come back here to app.js. I'm going to come up to the top, and I'm going to write import component. Mine is helping me out, so it's giving me component, and it automatically writes out the rest of the statement. However, what you're writing, if it doesn't help you out, is from, and then in quotes, component, and that's referring to the file path. It's referring to the current folder and then component.js. You do not need to write the .js, though. It automatically knows. So if yours isn't helping you with that, you need to write it out exactly as it appears on my screen. But all this is doing is it's looking for the file path of the other component we made and getting a reference to it, so you can use it in this file. Does that make sense to everyone? I'm sorry? Okay, well, we're about to find out in just a second. So if you come down here underneath this HTML we have, and you open, and you write component, and you write it like this with a backslash and then the ending caret brace. And then you save, you will see that it has rendered onto the next screen. Yeah, absolutely. It's working? It needs to be it. So it needs to be within the div or the header. It can't be outside of the div, because the React component can only return one piece of JSX, not multiple.
And then you want to save. because it's
Okay. This is the error is in app.js. So go to you can call that an error source app.js. So it looks like you have that extra. Yeah, if you go down, it's looking for. If. So you just have that floating if.
Because I didn't have Spark and yeah.
So now you should be able to save and see it show up.
okay.
Okay, awesome. So I want you all to make your own component that following the same thing we just did, but make a completely new one. You can call it whatever you want. Again, it has to start with the function here must start with a capital letter. Other than that, create a new one, a whole new file, and import it into app.js just like we just did. And I will give everyone till 10:20. Add as many things as you want to it. Try things out. Experiment. Everything working for everyone? Anyone having any issues? Okay. Give you guys a couple more minutes.
I just can't get it to me having access. So this is not actually HTML, it's JSX. So some of the CSS is not the same. So try and margin capital L left. Try. I don't know if that'll work either, but no. Okay. So what you have to do is make style equals, and then curly braces, and then curly braces, and then do margin, and then capital L. It's giving you there left, and colon, and then what you want. I think it has to be in quotes. Try that. There you go. So this is not actually, again, this is not actually HTML. So when you try to do inline styling, you have to pass a JavaScript object that fakes the HTML. Alternatively, as you see class name here, this will refer to things in your app CSS. So you can write regular CSS in this file. You also can make a new CSS file and import it at the top and use it. But unlike normal HTML, you can't just write class. It has to be class name in camel case. Because, again, it's not real HTML. It just kind of looks like it. And so they weren't able to use the same types of things that are in HTML because it has to compile to it. And it would conflict. Okay, so if everyone's done that, you have a component, or you can do something like this. If I put a new div and I say, wow, and I say style, I can do margin top, I can do 50 pixels. And I come over and I go back to our actual app. See how wow is so far away? So you can do it this way, but probably it is best to make the separate CSS file. But if you just want something quick, you can pass an object in.
The first one is. And what is curly?
Yeah, two curly braces. Something I've forgotten to tell you guys that might make a lot of this simpler. In Visual Studio, if you go to this on the far left, if you go to this bottom tab called Extensions, I'll wait for the people in the room.
So if you go to this bottom tab called extensions and you search for React and click on this first thing, you can install it, and that will help you a lot. So go to this bottom tab over here all the way on the left, search for React, and this very first thing, click on it and then hit install. I've already done it, so it won't show up for me. When you do that, though, it will give you a lot of help when you're typing.
Sorry. You're gonna.
And it should be the very first thing that shows up. Click on that and then hit install. Should take just a few seconds, but it will greatly help you. It will give you autocomplete for a lot more types of things while you're writing your React code. Okay, so this is all well and good, but what if I want to get Bob here and his lovely age, 45, into my component? What if I want to pass something to this component without rewriting it? Well, in order to do that, you can just write any word you want here. I'm going to call mine age. And I'm going to pass Bob. That could be anything you want. It doesn't have to be Bob's age. It could be his height. Maybe he's super tall or super short. But Bob is important because you put these curly brackets, you're passing that variable up there on line 8 into those curly brackets on line 15. And when you've done that, come back to your component. And this is a function. So it can take a variable. You can pass a variable called props, which I guess is automatically passed. You don't have to actually pass it here, but I like to do it just so that I know that something has been passed in. And I can come down here on this line, I can open some curly brackets and I can do props dot age. And it will bring up his age, 45, because you just passed it down. This is how we can get any type of information from the top to the bottom of a React application. We can also, if we want, specify exactly what we're bringing in. So I can open 2 curly brackets here, and I can pass age by itself, because that's the name of the variable I gave it on the higher level. And then I can just pass age here, and nothing has changed. And we got no errors. This is the way I prefer to do it. You don't have to. You can use props if you want. I do it this way, and then you have to just make sure you include every single one with a comma in here. Okay. So that's great. But what if we want to do something a little more complicated? What if we want to make a counter in here? So if we wanted to make a counter, say we want to increment Bob's age, we think we make a button here, and we'll call it make Bob older, and we will call this Bob's current age. And we'll come up here and we'll make a make Bob older function. And we'll do age plus 1. And we'll come down here and we'll do on click. Make Bob older. Okay. So do we think that this is going to work if we do this? All right, there are a lot of things wrong with this. But we're going to get a whole bunch of errors here. First of all, I'm just saying age plus 1. I'm not even assigning anything to age. So that is one error. So I have this, but nothing is happening. I click the button. Age should equal age plus 1, and age is being printed right here. I'm passing the function to onClick, but nothing happens. And that is because no, actually, that is because every time that you do something like hit a button or need to change the page, React re-renders everything from the first position, meaning it saves none of the things that we did. In order to do that, we have a concept in React called hooks. And you have to import a hook. So the hook that we're going to be interested in, and a hook is just a way to reuse some code from somewhere else. React has some built-in ones that most of the time you're going to use. I'm not a React developer, so I've never used any but these few. I'm sure that there are a lot more. I'm sure that there are use cases, and I'm sure when Jonathan's back, he can tell you more about those. But I only use these basic ones. And the only one I'm going to go over today is use state. So use state is going to be useful if we want if we want React to remember a variable when we've changed something on the page. And to do that, we're going to use some really weird syntax to set up a stateful variable. Okay, so this is going to look really strange. I believe in JavaScript this is something called array destructuring. That's not super important for now. For now, you just need to know that when you want to use state, you need to write a line like line 4. That will set up a variable called count and a function called setCount. Count will update and maintain its state between page refreshes from React. And setCount will be how you actually update the variable. You can't just say count equals. That won't work. React won't allow you to just assign to that. You have to call the setCount function and pass in the new state of the function. And then I have useState here function that I'm calling, I'm setting it equal to, and I passed a 0 in because I want count to start at 0 the very first time my app runs. I could put -1 in, I could put 50 in, I could put any number in there. That's just the number I want it to start at. Does that make sense? So for now, I'm going to get rid of this method. And I'm just going to pass set count, call it as a function, and pass count plus age. Oh, count, actually. Count plus 1. Plus 1. And I am going to set this equal to age plus count. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
It does? Okay. Developer settings set up. Yes, I have noticed that. I am working on this really quick. Hold on. I am going to see what I did wrong. Ah, okay. That is what I've done wrong. Okay, so you cannot just pass this function call into onClick because you are calling the function immediately. So we have to pass a lambda function in, which is just it's just a on-the-fly function that it's open, close, parentheses, and this fat arrow here is just is the same as writing function. And that should fix your code once you have that in there. You hit save. Now when we hit the button, you can see that we can make Bob's age go up. We can make Bob real old. It doesn't. I removed that. So what I want you guys to do is I want you guys, based on what we've learned today, I want you guys to, when Bob's age reaches a certain amount, I want you to render some JSX to the screen that says Bob is so old now. So I want you to make it so when Bob reaches 80 years old, I want it to say Bob is so old now underneath my button. And I will give everyone until 10:45 to do that. If you have questions, feel free to ask. But look back at the code that we've done.
Oh, you mean around like your.
Yes, starting on click. Remember, we need curly brackets to run JavaScript code. So this only works because you're putting it inside of curly brackets, and you need it all the way at the end before that. There. And are you still following along, Sherika? You doing all right? Awesome.
Can I ask you a big favor?
Yes.
You mind getting back on the app? Because I probably understand.
Code?
The apps.
Oh, app.js?
Yeah.
I have removed the if code.
Yeah. That's
I have removed it because I want you to, because we've learned this and I want you guys to do it without looking at.
Yeah, so
Um,
that's one the part that I'm like the if
Okay.
it's like when it's curly, when it's not, it should be that's what I'm like. Or I just write it down. That's the part that I'm like it's curly, it's like that.
So you need, so if is always followed by parentheses,
No, yeah, I did that.
Oh,
and
and then
it's
and you put the conditional, whatever you wanted to check in those parentheses, and then after those parentheses you have curly brackets.
okay.
So the parentheses
then-
say, when this happens, do the stuff inside of the curly brackets.
But I don't need to use like the P or anything like that, right?
No,
It's
this is just
yeah.
JavaScript.
Yeah, that's what I was like, I think I'm mixing it. but-
So you want to return JSX. So you will want to set some variable equal to some JSX, like I did before. I had an HTML. Yeah. So but up here, you'll want to set it equal to something that you can put down here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I got it. So I was just like more confused about.
So
this
you
part
would
here.
need to put a div or a p or something up there in that if that you are setting to a variable.
I'm just trying to see.
Okay. But yeah, what you're trying to do though is remember, you want to say, you want to be in whatever component you added, not this, but whatever component that you added this on click to, you want to check, what the age plus the count is equal to somewhere. And if that is over 80, so 81 or higher, you want to add a button to the screen that says, or not a button, a message to the screen that says, Bob is so old now. And I'll extend it to 1050. I'm going to turn the lo-fi back on, and hopefully that will prevent my computer from going to sleep while I use the restroom.
What's the variable? Yeah.
How? What do they give you? Those are just that variable, that text. What are they doing? How are they doing? Okay, I'm just trying to ask you. That's all. You got it. I am just saying it. You need to look back. I give you guys 4 more minutes, and then I will write out my proof. everything that you brought back to life. But that, you know, that's good. One more minute. I told everyone I do until 10:50, and then I will start writing out my. Okay. So here we are. I'm going to do lat new JSX. Just going to set that. We're going to do if count plus age equals 80. I guess we could also do if it is greater than 80, our new JSX equals wow, Bob is so old. And then I'll just come down here and I'll write new JSX. Save it. I don't have to refresh the page because it remembered. And we have Bomba's age is going up. When he reaches 80, he can still get older, but he's very old. He didn't die. As some people would have you believe. Bob is still alive. He's just very old. So do you see how I did that? Does this make sense?
Why did you do that? Considering we can't like go very forward.
It is a variable. Let is the key word for making a variable. I used var on the other pages. I realized that should not be. That is kind of old hat for JavaScript. You now should be using let or const. I believe inside of the React function, you can always use const. I believe. I could be wrong because it re-renders every time. But I'm using let here. Does this help you with the issue that you're having? No? Okay, so what part do you not understand? What are you having trouble with?
So I'm trying to
Okay.
I think I got here right. I didn't try to see. I think it's the formula we have to look.
Okay. So we're trying to take your component that you made and put it in app.js.
And then that's what we do. Like why? I'm sorry. Why are you going to complain part? I was trying to figure this out. So, like,
Okay.
because it was showing up this morning here, and then look up, it showed the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just showing warnings. So like, as you're writing things, those aren't errors. There's nothing wrong. It's just showing that there are some warnings that you might want to look at. But that's fine for our purposes right now. So you're inside of app. What did you do inside the component?
but I didn't do much.
Yeah, so in here is where you have to do this, right? Because this is where count is. This is where age is. So you won't be able to do the stuff that you want from app.
So the age here is what it needs.
It is, if you scroll down, you pass member into age, so it is whatever member is. So yours is 21. Yeah, that's what it will start at every time.
So here it needs to be.
So you passed, oh, that's correct, you passed age in. In order to get this, you see you're showing, so whatever is in these, so in JSX, there's the div that you have. Whatever is in there will render as if it's HTML. But the curly brackets, see these curly brackets right here on line 9? The purpose of writing those is so that you can put plain JavaScript in there. And age is a variable, and count is a variable that you're putting in. Count is a variable that it will keep track of. It won't reset that variable every time. Technically, age is being reset every time. It's just being reset to the same numbers and you don't notice. So you need to do all the things that you want to do in this file, because this is where you have age and count. The other file app doesn't have access to count, so it can't do anything.
Yeah, but I need to pass this here.
Okay, so you want to
Whereas
pass
right
it down.
that far now.
You don't have to. You can do this in here. That's where I did it. Except for it's shut down. So see, I'm in component. No, we do not. As far I couldn't find it anywhere. They couldn't find it anywhere. I've had to turn it off and turn it back on every time. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So see, I've done everything inside of the component JS folder. And that's because that is the component I'm nesting. I want all of this functionality to live in here. My first page, this app.js page, this is just to house my component. I don't want to do anything in here. I want all of it to live here because we should keep our code separated. And my component is what's handling counting Bob's age. It's handling displaying the message that Bob is old. My app.js doesn't need to know about any of that. It doesn't need to have any of the code for that in there at all. So all of the code is in here. See, I have my if statement that's checking if count plus age is greater than 80. I have my JSX variable set to this div. And then I'm displaying whatever the result of that JSX variable is.
Yeah, sure what it looks like.
In here?
Yeah.
So it starts like this.
Thank you. So cool. When you do it, it looks so easy, and I'm gonna do it. I'm like, oh my god.
It's just a few concepts that you have to learn, and they can be hard to learn. But once you get them, it's not very many things that you're actually putting together here. You have just a return area. In that area, you have some HTML-like code called JSX that you're returning. You want to make as many different little files to hold parts of functionality. This part is just a counter. That's it. This all it does is just counts up Bob's age. On the screen, this file right here, this file is just this part. Yeah, just the part that says Bob's current age and wow, Bob is old. That's this whole file. The part that says wow and hello world, not this file.
Did you still the if and else?
No. I don't need it here. I only need it in this folder. Yeah, in this one, I got rid of it. The other thing I need here is Bob, and that's only because I'm passing Bob down.
That's when I was making everything complicated because I was doing if apps.
Yeah, you actually can't do that.
Somehow relate it with-
Yeah, you have to. So you have to do it in this file, so that because this is where your count variable is, and you don't have access to the count variable up here because it lives inside this file. So you'd need to do your if and else statement in here. All right, so instead of going over the next part, because it just gets a lot more complex from here, for the last half hour, Sherika online, anyone else who may be online that I missed, and everyone here, I want you to take everything out of this app.js that is in the return statement between, on my screen, between line 11 and 17. And I want you to make several different component files, import them here, have 2 different button clicks that do something, and pass variables down to these. And I will just be here to help, but I want to make sure that you get these fundamental things before I move on to anything more complex. So for the rest of our time until 11:30, I will be doing this. Sherika, if you need any help, let me know. But I just want you to play around and get comfortable using these few things that I copied. You can reuse stuff you've already done, but I want everything to live outside of this app.js file and only import things that you made, like component. 2 button clicks, 2 variables that get passed down, 2 uses of state, of use state here, however you'd like to do it. Remember, use state is just a variable and a function. This variable can be anything, so you don't have to pass a number. It can be a string, like it can be words. It can be an array. Try to make something with those requirements. I'll put those up here. And Gregory will be in the chat for anyone online. So please remember that he's there and you can ask him questions.
I was trying to figure out what you're trying to do, and I'm reading that on online. Like, saving it.
You can use save for that. Anything you want to save and share the screen, you can use save. You just have to make a new variable.
Is this just like the variable names that's using these?
So this is setting up a new variable and a new function. So this is the name, and then it's convention to always call the function set, whatever the name is. And that variable will always be remembered. But you have to use a function to pass the new state of the variable into the variable every time you want to use it with set, whatever the variable is.
Okay.
And again, I will be here. I will be walking around the physical room. I will do my best to explain anything that you need.
Probably today.
Hold on. Let me let Gregory into the meeting really quick. Maybe. Oh, I can't. Jonathan can let you in. But you can help Sherika on Slack.
Yeah.
So if you need help, Sherika, please message Gregory on Slack or in the Learn to Code channel, and he will respond to you. Yes. You mind if I move this? We'll sit here. Ooh, this should go low there. All right.
Who can find this in here? Because like if I click and
Okay. All right. Expected an assignment or a function call instead of solve an expression. S is not defined. So most likely there's an S somewhere. And this is in component.js. And it is looking for it to be something. I don't Yep, there it is.
okay.
It takes a really long time to find things like that. All right, go over.
But like when I click, oh, okay, now it showed up. It's like,
It is
okay,
working
now
There you
it
go.
will.
Okay,
Why am I looking at something about that?
so go to the app.js file.
What?
Huh? Did you put it up? Yeah, that's fine. And I want you to take everything out of here between this. Leave the top, leave those. Leave the div and the header. Actually, you can get rid of everything in here except for the green, the lime green and experiment. I don't want anything else to live in this file. Things that separate files. And then I want you to make at least 2 other files that use 2 button clicks, not each, but just in general. 2 uses of use state and 2 variables that you passed in.
Okay.
Okay, let's get a new window. I'm gonna have to go to YouTube and pull up Lo-Fi so this won't go away. Okay, so I have Lo-Fi running just so this one off. So you can and you can check that to see if the first letter of the string starts.
Or it is.
Okay, so what you can do is you care your
You're gonna say you need to access there first. So you can get access to it. It just lives in a different file. So see how you pass name in? You'll need to do that same thing for vowels.
Okay, wow.
That whole thing. So.
That makes you feel better. And I'm like, oh my god, I don't prepare for it. Like, you just solid details. Like,
Yes. Next week, I wanted do online to share the give a 5-minute
Yeah, I it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing you're doing.
We have had my last. I retired. Yeah, on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. All now.
Fantastic. It's it we need that. People because basically a Android apps. It's not fun. And it's limited. You have okay. That's you have not see that. So, and they we're not going to see the bugs for example for leaking bugs. No more support. Sunset. About to be 11:30. I will stay here a little longer. People. But if you're online and you want to drop off, obviously you can. Help. But you can reach out to us during the week. We will try to respond as soon as possible. I cannot stop recording. He may just be recording his computer all day.
Yeah. So that'll be there, so.
Yeah, but you're checking the, you already have those vowels. The thing you want people to enter is a name. Do you have a name? Is someone enters a name? Oh, yes. Um, being 7 vowels. Want to do this out. About it. Ow. So you have owls. That's nice.
But it was wrong. It was like that.
Again, please try to make the simplest thing first and make it more complicated. Um, As you have it, but you can use. Um, But you don't have to do that. I'm just saying, don't overwhelm yourself. But remember, Google is your friend. Look up specifically, how do I do this command? How do I do this? Very straightforward thing. But you need to learn to read those. Okay, I'm gonna drop off the meeting now. Have a great rest of your day, Sherika. And I think Gregory will be here in a few more minutes at least to help you in the chain.